On August 25, 2012, in Evansville, Indiana, 42-year-old John Gilmore is fast asleep in his home. But around 1 a.m., he is suddenly awakened by a loud commotion outside. Upon investigating, John is horrified by what he finds. He reaches for the phone and immediately calls 911. What you're about to hear is the actual audio from that call.
County Sheriff's Department.
Hey, something weird going on here on my road. At the end of it, there's a bunch of naked men trying to push a truck into the woods.
Are you kidding?
Like into the trail, like really weird.
When I first heard this call, I'm thinking, this is a frat prank gone terribly wrong.
Is it a teenager? I mean,
Yeah,
okay.
I'd say 18, 19. We're making a lot of noise. I was trying to sleep, and I looked out the window. I couldn't believe it at first.
Do it! Do it!
That just sounds so real.
Yeah, I know.
People are weird and sometimes like to run around naked.
Are they all white males or what?
Yes, ma'am. There's like 5 or 6.
Naked?
Yeah, there's one that's dressed, and they're naked.
5 naked guys pushing a car. They're probably just joking around with somebody, but it's a crime. This is a perfect example when a prank becomes serious.
My sister pushes on the internet! Let's go!
Okay. Is it okay if we need to stop by? I mean, surely we can find naked men, but if we need to stop
It's at the very end of the road. You cannot miss.
Okay. All right. You got it.
The police need to respond to a call like this and be prepared to probably charge these guys and probably have some extra blankets in the car just in case so nobody has to look at that.
The moral of the story is that an emergency can strike at any time, and apparently it struck at a moment when these gentlemen didn't have any clothes.
Face the car, spread your
The
legs.
pranksters are arrested and charged with indecent exposure and auto theft. On July 26, 2012, in Scottsdale, Arizona, 29-year-old Charles Leidy is awakened from a deep sleep in the dead of night by something very troubling. Confused, Charles fumbles for his phone and dials 911.
Please, let me help you.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering if you could send an officer over to my place to have somebody physically removed.
Who do you want removed?
Just a girl.
Okay, who's just the girl? Who's the girl you want removed?
She's in my bed, snoring.
Okay.
Snoring away like a train.
This is awesome. Sleep apnea is not a crime.
Okay, who is she?
Her name is,
She's in your bed right now?
yeah.
Okay, how did she get there? Did she come home with you, or?
No, I don't think so.
Well, how did she get into your apartment? How did she get into your apartment and into your bed?
While we were talking, and...
Okay, did you bring her home with you?
Well, I assume so.
Obviously, this guy has had one too many drinks and he's just making a complete and utter fool of himself right now.
Okay, have you both been drinking tonight?
Well, I have.
Okay.
I don't know about her.
Do we know who she is?
Her name is, what is her name?
Just a few hours earlier, Charles had met the woman at a bar and headed back to his place for a nightcap. The party quickly moved to his bedroom. But by the time Charles mixed their drinks, Rita was fast asleep. And soon, so was Charles. But not for long.
So
You don't know how she got into the apartment?
Well, I'm just saying that we were hanging out and stuff like that, and then...
And then she just decided to go to bed?
Well, pretty much.
Okay.
And then it's like I'm trying to wake her up, and she won't wake up.
Let her sleep it off. Maybe you want to take a walk, watch TV. But you know what? You got to take responsibility.
Is that her? Is that her snoring that I'm hearing?
Yeah,
And she's snoring like a train?
snoring like a train.
The dispatcher advises Charles to leave the room and let Rita sleep it off.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
On March 28, 2012, in Pasco County, Florida, 61-year-old accountant Gary Newman is driving away from the scene of a crime. He is the most recent victim of an alarming trend that has been occurring in this quiet neighborhood. What you're about to hear is the call Gary made to 911 to report the incident.
911 emergency?
Well, no. I don't need any assistance. What I need is the number for the person that has instituted this seatbelt surge in tickets, traffic tickets for seatbelt violations. That's who's caused this. That's who's caused it. I've gotten 2 tickets for seatbelt violations in the last week.
The first thing that I think about when I hear this call is, what rock have you been living under? This has been a law that's been instituted since the 80s. So I don't know where this guy came from, but it's like, come on.
Everybody thinks that, don't you have anything better to do? They give me a ticket. That's very common. And you're like, right now, this is my job, and my job is to save you, and this is the law.
Just before his call, Gary was cited for driving without a safety belt. It was Gary's second violation for the same offense in 3 days.
Drive safe.
Now, Gary is beyond frustrated.
Behind every sign.
Okay.
Okay.
You have the name of the officer that gave you a ticket.
I have the citation here, and I also have the citation that I got about 3 days ago.
Okay, calm down, okay?
All right.
He's got a little seatbelt paranoia going on because he's got a couple tickets, and apparently he doesn't like to wear a seatbelt. He's the renegade amongst the drivers in the state and doesn't want to wear a seatbelt. So he has to look around wherever he thinks the police are, behind every sign, and he thinks they're following him just for the seatbelt. Believe me, we have better things to do than to make sure that you're wearing your seatbelt wherever you go. If we catch you, you're gonna get a ticket, so put it on. It's so for your own safety.
When people are in the middle of road rage, their temper is escalating, you really want to try to calm them down and take control of the situation.
Who decided to make the surge in police seatbelt violations?
Okay.
That's what I want to know, please. Sir,
Listen to me a minute.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the number to our traffic office, okay?
Okay, there's the traffic office, the people that are responsible for this harassment. Okay, and I've got to stop it. I've got to get it stopped somehow.
Okay.
If he's got a problem with the law, he needs to address it with the state legislature. And trust me, they're not going to change it. It's a good law. When we go to major traffic accidents, usually a good indicator whether somebody's going to survive or not is wearing a seatbelt. That's simple. It's there for his safety.
All right, sir, I'm going to give you the number for the Capitol.
Okay, this is a state thing that's going on here?
Yes.
The state, they're responsible for
Right,
this.
I'm going to have you start there. They should be able to direct you from there, because that's where it comes from, okay?
Is the governor of Florida responsible for this, partially?
You know what? I'm not sure, sir.
If you want to stop getting tickets, wear your seatbelt. Real simple.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
As Gary speeds away from the scene, he has once again caught the attention of a police cruiser.
The moral of this story, I think the guy doesn't understand. All we're trying to do is save lives. That's why we have the law. Most people buckle up. This guy's got to get it in his head that I need to buckle up or I'm going to continue to get tickets. And it's about saving lives, his life.